And it's Friday morning here on WJLX. It's live at 9 with James Phillips. And this morning, I am joined by Greg Farris. He's running for mayor of Jasper. And Greg, thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Let's just get right into it and find out, why in the world does anybody want to run for mayor of any little town? So I know you got some good reasons for running for mayor of Jasper.
Well, like I said on my platform when I first announced, I was always in the background, worked for the city for over 25 years, and I know everything that happened, everything that's going on. So, didn't start out wanting to be mayor, but, I had a couple of people pushing me to run for city council. And I said, well, nah, I don't think I want to be city council. I know what's going on. I know out and about what needs to happen. I said, I'd probably be better off running for mayor and get some things done.
Right, yeah. Tell everybody a little bit about your history with the city, because I know you've worked for the city and you've been in Jasper your entire life. So
well, I got hired by Penn Woods when Penn Woods was mayor. So,
it's been a little while.
I have been through a few mayors.
Yeah.
And Penn Woods was a good mayor. So I worked for Parks and Recreation. So, as a matter of fact, we changed some fields around and I laid them out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was the head person over Parks and Rec as a maintenance crew.
Yeah.
And, we changed fields, put in irrigation, and, I headed that up.
Yeah.
I had some good guys that I worked with, So, like Woods and Murphy wasn't there. We just had Woods. We laid that out, put the sod, put the irrigation in, and
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't realize that. Yeah. And I know you've been through, like you said, you worked for a long time with the city, and you've been through a lot of mayors. So you've seen the ups and downs, and you've seen the good things mayors have done and the bad things. What do you think you bring to the table?
Well, I think I'll bring in part of what Penn Woods was doing, because I know what he was doing. And I bring in a former mayor, old mayor, because I think he was on the right track to get Jasper what Jasper needs to be.
Right, yeah.
And I would stick with his 4 points, his bullet points that he had for Jasper, and I would run on that.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your background, as far as I know you were in the military and some things like that.
Yes, I was in the military, and I joined the Army when I first got out of high school. And I come out of the Army, I said, I'm getting out, because I was in Europe, and I come home to visit, and I went back off vacation back to Europe, and I had orders back to the States, and I didn't want to come back. It was that, I loved it.
Yeah.
And so when I got back, I just told them I'm getting out. So when I got out, I was out for about half a year to a year. I went back in, and I went in a different branch.
Oh, okay.
So the branch that I went in, and it was a lot of secret stuff in that part of it, because that's what I was.
You can't tell us anything, right?
Well, I can now because my time is up from there. I ain't got to worry about nobody kidnapping me.
Right.
Find out now. But I was a cryptological technician in the Navy.
Oh, cool, yeah.
And I knew a lot of stuff, I had to have a top secret clearance, my clearance was almost just like the president's clearance.
Yeah. And I know sports is a big part of your life, and working for Park and Rec. But one thing that most people probably know you for in the area, if they've been around for any time at all in Jasper, is that you are an official, like with high school sports and all the way down to the Little League.
Right.
And we were talking before we came on the air. You said you started back in like 1986.
Yes.
I mean, that's a long time to be an official.
Well, it is a long time, but, right now, what I'm doing now is giving back. I'm bringing up good officials.
Right.
And that's something I do for the city right now. I assign umpires, referees for their recreations, and that's giving back, So, hey, it's a long time.
When I've noticed you at games, I mean, from my time in sports and And especially in recent years, seeing you at like county basketball tournament and things like that. And I noticed that you will talk to the younger officials and give them some tips and things like that. And I think that's a good thing, you know.
Yes.
Show them what they're doing wrong and right,
Right.
and all that kind of
And
stuff.
my officiating really started when I was in the military.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it started when I was in the military. I was in Germany, and we played sport, and I travel a lot playing sport. But then we had the youth program called Dependent Youth Activity, and that's why I started calling for them, you know, and work for them a little bit part time.
Oh, that's cool. Now, did you talked to me before we came on the air, because I know a lot of people gonna know you by the name Hollywood.
Yes.
And you said that came from your time in the military when
In
you were
Germany.
playing sports.
Yeah, I was a smack talker.
Uh-oh. But hey, we might need a smack talker for mayor though, because sometimes you just got to let people know, you know.
Well, that's what I would shoot. I shoot straight. I shoot everybody straight.
Yeah.
You know, I won't beat around the bush. I let them know straight out. You know, you can or you can't.
Right. And that's a good quality to have.
Yes.
Did what were you known for as far as your athletic ability and stuff? What was your I think you told me you was a wide receiver and a DB.
Yes, in flag football.
Yeah.
I didn't play football in high school.
Oh, really?
No, I ran track and was on the basketball team.
Oh, okay.
You know, so that's where that speed come from. That's why I'm in football, because of my speed.
Right.
As a back judge. But I'm slowing down. You know, I'm in my 60s. And,
Right.
So like I tell them, it's hard to keep up with these kids now.
Everybody got to slow down at some point, you know. Talk about some of your plans that you'd like to see
Well,
for the city?
Well, I do know when I first started working for the city, I knew the size of our city. And basically right now, since 1990, I think I started in 1990 working, our city ain't that much larger than it was in 1990.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we've kind of sat at that like
Yes,
14,000 or so, I
Yeah.
guess, something like that.
13,900,
Yeah.
14,000, we go up and then we'll go back down. But I have watched cities, I travel a lot, I still travel a lot to do sports.
Yeah,
And I do remember, you know, one place I used to go and call, you know, because the association we was in, a lot of these little towns didn't have basic associations. I used to go up in Coleman, Marshall County, up in that area, and I remember Abbeville and Gunnersville. I used to go up there a lot and
yeah,
do basketball, either softball, slow pitch, umpire, and it really wasn't that big. And I lately going back and forth to Abbeville, and I know they was basically the same size as Jasper back in the 90s,
yeah.
and now they're 50% bigger than Jasper.
Yeah, and I noticed Albertville has grown a lot, and like they've got a big amphitheater up there now,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
bringing
Sand
in,
Mountain.
yeah, and they're bringing in like major musical acts and stuff
Yeah.
all the time.
And,
I didn't realize they had grown like they have, you know.
and that surprised me, Charles. About 3 years ago, one Alabama high school went up there for their softball, region softball, and I went back up there, and you know, everybody now got umpire associations, so
Right.
they don't reach out like they used to.
Right.
And I went up there and I talked to the people that running there, you know, where I went before then, because I had daughters that was playing when they first opened up. I went to the basketball gym up there, and she was playing volleyball, and I talked to the people that run it. See, they got an independent contract people that run it for the city.
Right.
And when I talked to them, I said, "Oh man, I remember they wasn't that big. That school back then was a little small 3A, 4A school.
Right.
And
Yeah.
now they 7A.
Yeah.
You know, and we were stuck on 5 and 6A when we started 4A when everything was 4A.
Right.
And now we stuck on 6A, but we are not growing.
Right. What do you think's the key to getting the city growing more?
It has to come from our leaders. Our leaders are still stuck in the 90s.
Yeah.
So we stuck in the 90s, everything around us is going to be in the 90s.
Right.
And the only way to get out of that, we got to build for the kids. Now, I play pickleball a little bit, and both I got two daughters at home, and both of them go up and play pickleball, and I go up there and I play around or I just watch.
Yeah.
You know, and they got that 9 courts up there and all 9 courts going, and then you still got 50 people waiting to play.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've heard, like, I've been up there a couple times. My daughters like to go play too, and I mean it is just packed full of people all the time.
All the time.
So we definitely need more courts.
We need more courts, and
And there's people up there all times of night too. Like we do the wrestling shows at Swan once a month,
yeah.
you know. And when we get done at a wrestling show at 10:30 at night, there'll be people out there still playing.
yes, and the lights go out at 11, I think.
Okay,
They're on the
yeah.
timer,
Yeah,
you know, so we need more for our kids.
yeah,
Our kids are our future.
yeah,
You know, in our school system, you know, like, we stuck on math, reading, and all that.
yeah,
But we got to get something else in the schools because everybody ain't math material. Just like I tell a lot of people, everybody not sports person.
Right.
So we need things where bring in like an event center.
Right.
Like the rodeo or
Yeah.
something like that. You know, when you got the rodeo, if it had rained, they probably would canceled the rodeo. They wouldn't have had so many people out if it was raining during the rodeo.
right, yeah,
But if you get a place big enough, under cover, you still can have your rodeo.
right. Well, and there's been talk of a big sports center. Is that something that you'd like to see? I know that was something in O'Mary's plan at one point.
Yeah, it was his 4-point plan was a big sports complex.
Right,
But, you know, and right now, I think I'm still on the board, Park and
Right.
Recreation Board. I was Park and Recreation Board out of my district, which is District 5.
right,
And I did go up there and look at the area he was talking about, and I noticed that a lot of it is you have to fill in.
right,
So, you know, when I come back and we had a board meeting, I said, ain't no way. I said, you'll spend most of that $10 to $12 million on filling that in.
yeah, yeah,
So I said, let's work on what we got. Let's go and build what we already have. What we got now is Memorial Park. Let's go up there and fix that up. Fowler Field, let's fix that up.
yeah,
You know, Woods and Murphy, let's turf those fields where you'll never have another rain out. You'll have light out, but
Right.
you won't have a rain out.
right,
You know, you still can play. And since then, I think that's the plan.
yeah,
But then, you know, I go to Hoover, that big complex in Hoover, and my daughter now, I got one at home that's all she plays is volleyball, but she was good at basketball.
yeah,
But you go in there and you see 20 volleyball courts going at one time. And everybody there, they got 2 sections. Come in the morning, that section, then afternoon, that section. Well, you got 90 teams. You have to pay to play.
right.
You know,
Well, and I think that's one thing that we are missing in the city is a good indoor facility like for basketball and volleyball. We've got Swan Gym and we got the Percy Good Center, but they're just not up to that standard. Yeah,
not,
you know.
not to host a big AAU tournament.
Right, right,
Or USA volleyball tournament. You know,
Right.
it's not big enough.
yeah,
It's okay for practice.
yeah, right,
Or your local men's league or youth league.
yeah,
okay.
something like that. But it's not good enough for like AAU and travel
Right.
teams and stuff like that. And I know Memorial Park is a great facility. I'm glad that we're in the process of improving it too, because my daughter this year played softball, and it's a place where we can have tournaments every weekend. Like
Every weekend,
it's a
yeah.
nice spot.
As
you
a
know?
matter of fact, I was contacted by a guy from World League Softball, you know, and I was getting in touch with him because I said, well, I want to call some of this, you know.
Right,
You know, I'm in USA, Alabama High School. I said, let me get in some of this World League.
right,
But, you know, and I talked to him, he said he will have more tournaments here if he can get them here because
right.
everybody's trying to put on a tournament somewhere.
And tournaments are really easy money for cities, it seems
Yeah.
to me. You know?
Well, I was part of a group that first started with SIAC bringing them to Jasper in softball.
Right.
And when me and Officer Marbury first started, got with that coach from Miles College, and we got them to come, and we was told, well, that they're not making money. And when you bringing in teams from all over the southeast,
Yeah. You got to be
and they
making
all
money.
got to stay in hotels, they all got to eat.
Right.
You're making money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and I guess it wasn't the money that was paid to the city to rent the field. Well, we got to give something in order to get something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But having those tax dollars come in,
Yeah,
that's
that
that's
was your money.
a
you
huge
know?
thing there.
Yeah.
You know.
And we had them, I think, about 15, 16 years here, and then all of a sudden this come in with this new mayor thing, and our past mayor, he wanted them back.
Right.
And he told them, he said, when y'all come back, we're gonna have these fields done.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but
Now, what do you think economy-wise? What are the things that Jasper needs, and how do we promote and get more things that people want to see and that kind of thing?
well, we have to look and see what the cities that's growing. Our city is not growing because mainly our city is not growing because we're letting our kids that graduate high school, graduate college, they don't come back until it's time to retire.
Right.
That's why we flexing going up and down with, cause they come back when it's time to retire.
Yeah.
You know, but other than that, we got to be able to bring something to keep them here. Jobs that will keep them. I ain't talking about just a job pay minimum wage.
Right.
You know, we gotta get these,
Something where you can raise a family.
or you can raise a family.
Yeah.
It got to be a restaurant have pay good money.
Right.
for
Right.
the, you know, for the cooks, you know, or either the chef.
Right.
A restaurant that hire chefs, you know. So we gotta do something like that because we have a junior college here. Most cities that got a junior college within their city, they are growing. They're
Right.
not stagnated. They continue to grow.
Yeah.
And now we got a good person on these boards, you know, and they're trying to bring you in places, but then you can't bring them in because of the size of the city,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's so many places that they just look at the numbers,
Right.
and if you don't meet a certain number, you don't have enough people to have them here,
Yeah,
basically.
and we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And if we start in our schools by trying to keep the kids here,
Right.
it will help. And I like what they're doing with Bevel State now, you know, with the training these kids not only to be teachers or get that degree,
Right.
they're training them on the job now.
Yeah. There's so much more like workforce development,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
with different trades and things
The
like
county
that.
and the Jasper City school system.
Yeah, and I think they do a good job. You know, I got a daughter that just graduated, and I got two more daughters that are in the school system. And I think the county and the city, that's one place where the county and the city really works well together and does a good job working together,
Right.
is our school system. You
Right,
know?
and that's what I tell people now. You know, you got to be able to do multiple things. You just can't do one thing. Like myself, I can do plumbing.
Right,
I can do AC. I can do electricity. You know, I went to Walker Bevel State.
right,
You know, I said, we got to teach these kids to be able to do that, you know, to keep them here.
yeah. What about, I was talking about the city schools and county schools working together, and one thing that, I don't know if the county and city governments always had the best relationship together. How do you think you'd work with the county commission to be able to grow?
I think I would get them out, try to get them out to look at Tuscaloosa. Tuscaloosa, they call it Parks and Rec, they call it Para. It's county and city.
Okay, yeah,
You know, and that's why I'm saying, why we can't work like that? Because that airport, that old airport would be a good location for some kind of,
yeah,
for something, if it ain't, you know, something that I'm pushing on, some type of event center.
right, definitely
You
would.
know, or what Albertville is building now.
Yeah,
They building now in a center, 30,000 square foot event center for bowling, 5D theater. Why we can't build something like that?
right,
And we got the perfect location. What will hurt us now is traffic.
right,
two-lane traffic in and out, that will hurt you. But if there's enough land on each side, we have went up through and put turning lanes all the way up, but we got to go farther with turning lanes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense too. Well, I just want to remind everybody we're talking to Greg Farris this morning. He's running for mayor of Jasper. And Greg, remind everybody when that election is going to be in August.
August the 26th.
August 26th, and I guess qualifying is going on right now, and that continues. If anybody else wants to qualify for mayor, city council, that'll continue through Tuesday. And right now we only have two people running for mayor. We've got Josh Gates and then Greg Farris. Greg, do you know much about Josh?
No, don't know him at all.
Yeah. Well,
I was at the council meeting when they appointed him, and
right.
And that's about it. That's,
but it's time. It's time for we will definitely have a new mayor. Mayor O'Mary passed away last year, and it looks like Mayor Gary Cowan's not going to be running. So it'll be an interesting time for the next couple of months to see who gets the people out to vote for them too.
Right. Yeah, and I just don't want to see the city. Mayor O'Mary, he got a good. He was doing a good thing, and the money that's there in the city. Now I do remember after Penn Woods there for a while. The city was barely making it there for after Penn Woods,
Yeah.
So I just don't want that to happen again.
Right. Yeah. And Mayor O'Mary did do a great job of with the city's finances,
right.
and that was in his background, working at the bank, things like
right.
that. But
bond.
Yeah. So whoever is elected, they're going to come in and take over a good, a good situation. It seems.
Right. Yes, a good situation, and with that good situation, maybe the city will grow.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, we're going to take a break for just a minute, and then when we get back, we'll talk to Greg Farris a little bit longer here on Live at 9 with James Phillips. We'll be right back on WJLX. And we're live at 9 here on WJLX Friday morning in Jasper, Alabama, and we've got Greg Farris. He's a candidate for mayor of Jasper. That election coming up in August, and qualifying will be going on through this next Tuesday. Greg, we were talking off the air about continuing to talk about different ways to see the city grow, and some of your thoughts on other areas. And one area that we were talking about was Coleman, how everybody compares us to Coleman, but they've had a big road for a lot longer than we have.
Yes, that interstate we've been going through Coleman, and then 278, and then 69. Hey, they didn't just build it like they did 22. So,
right, yeah.
We know that the earth, when God formed the earth, it was done, and so it was done fast.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's gonna take time.
Yeah.
But if Jasper don't hurry up and get with the AI, we're gonna still be left behind.
We got to jump on it at this. We're at that time where you got to really get going.
Right.
So.
Yes. I got a guy that's helping me, and he's real good with AI,
Yeah.
So I said, man, you probably should be working for the state, county, or the city.
Yeah.
You that good with AI and things, and a young guy.
Yeah.
And if we don't hurry up and somebody don't get him, guess where he gonna be?
Somewhere else.
Huntsville.
Yeah.
The city that's growing.
Yeah. Hey, Huntsville is definitely one that's.
And I got right now. I probably got 5 or 6 nieces and nephews up there.
Yeah.
Left the city of Jasper City School. That's where they went, and they haven't come back.
Right.
Went up there to go to college and haven't come back. Yeah. And one of my nieces is good with AI.
Yeah.
And she's up there.
Well, tell us a little bit about your family, just for people who don't know you. Talk about your family a little bit and your everything with Jasper as far as.
Well, like I said earlier, when I graduated high school, I went straight into the military. I was gone for about 8 years. Other than that, I've been in Jasper all my life.
Yeah.
I always gave back to the city of Jasper by umpire, or I'm helping umpires and referees.
Right.
I'm giving back. So I'm married now to my wife, Sandy Ivy Farris, and we have 2 daughters out of that marriage. Previous, I have 3 other daughters, so I'm a girl dad.
Okay, yeah.
I got all girls.
Hey, I know how that is. I got one boy, but I got 4 girls, so I
Well,
know.
And then I got 2 granddaughters and 2 grandsons.
Yeah.
So, hey, uh, when it come time for Father's Day, hey.
They probably take care of you, though.
Oh,
The
yeah.
girls always take care of their dads.
Oh, yeah. But other than that, hey, I've been in Jasper all my life.
Yeah.
I know what, and as a matter of fact, I work in Jasper, and I have seen all phases of workers in Jasper, and I noticed when I was working, majority of the workers were Jasper, lived in Jasper.
Right.
Now, 50% of the workers don't live in Jasper. So what are 50% of the workers, what they spending their tax dollars money?
Right, yeah.
Outside of Jasper.
Right, right.
You know, and if we got an A and a B employee apply for a job and they both are equal, B lives outside of Jasper, A live in Jasper, I feel like we should hire A.
Right, yeah.
You know, keep your tax dollars here in Jasper.
Yeah, keep people here and keep your tax dollars here.
Right, you
Yeah.
know, and when I was working, I know majority of our employees was right from Jasper.
Yeah.
Now, it's not like that.
Well, I think just from talking to you and knowing you that you definitely have a like a common sense approach to being mayor. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you look at other places and want to do what's doing well at other places.
Right, and it's just not Albertville and Coleman. Oxford was about our size.
Yeah.
Oxford built that big park up there, Chakalaka Park,
Yeah.
and Oxford done.
Oxford really, and I went to a concert there not too long ago. They got a place in their downtown that's like a performing arts center. It's really nice.
Civic
Yeah.
Center. They got a civic center right off the main.
Yeah, yeah,
Off the
right on
interstate.
Main Street and stuff too. Yeah.
And then they got still got their old park, and they still got a new park.
Right.
You know?
And they've done a good job, just like Jasper has with their downtown area. They've brought
yeah.
that back a lot.
Well, most of them gonna do that when they with the people that we got downtown.
yeah, like with Jasper Main Street.
Main Street, and
yeah.
most cities now working with got a Main Street, and that's what they're doing.
Right.
These little small towns, you know. As a matter of fact, Albertville have a Main Street, and their downtown it's phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so another city that probably was like that was Gardendale.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's
Look
true.
what Gardendale done deal with their parks and recreation. Look at what they done build.
Yeah.
And they always say if you build it, they'll come. But you also got to offer something else. And my other thing would be some kind of entertainment center.
Yeah.
You know, like what Albertville is built. First they built the park, now they got building an entertainment center. And you go up there, I don't know which the main road is, and I think it's 232, 230 something. But the main.
Yeah.
The first time I went up there, and it had been a while since I've been up there, and they just had 2 little small hotels. Now, they probably got 5.
Man, yeah.
You know.
Well, and I guess the biggest thing is finding people who want to invest in that type of thing, I
right.
guess.
And I thank Loves for what Loves did when they came in. You know, they built that hotel, and where they now, I think, from my understanding, talking with people, I think they're out of the hospitality.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Somebody else has got that hotel. So
Yeah.
we got enough hotel bases here now where if we bring in a big event, they have hotels.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
You know, I remember back when ASA, now it's USA, and a guy from Hamilton come in to umpire a big ASA tournament we was having. And before he went home, out at Clark County, brought a new vehicle.
Oh,
Tax
yeah.
dollars stayed at Clark County for a new vehicle.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm saying. Not just the people of Jasper will buy something. You bring in big events, somebody gonna buy something.
right.
You know?
Well, and we've seen that with like the big fishing tournaments when they come
Right.
to the lake.
Yes.
I mean, the hotels are
Yeah.
booked up then. They're buying food, they're buying gas, all that
Right.
stuff. I mean, that brings in tax dollars.
Well, just like Rock the South now.
Yeah.
I guarantee we got people's here
Right,
these
to staying
hotels
here. Yeah.
for Rock the South.
And for even our own with the Foothills Festival. I mean,
Right, yeah.
there's 30,000 people come downtown during that weekend a lot of
Right.
times, and some of them they're not just they're from out of town because they
Right.
want to see
Yes.
the people we're bringing in. So I mean, there's
Oh, yeah,
always
because
somebody.
I did talk with someone at the last one, and they was from out of town.
Yeah.
And we sit together and talk,
Yeah,
and as I talked to this person, he said, "You from here?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I was raised I work Parks and Recreation." And he told me, he said, "You probably should be running for office."
and has that something you've had over the years? People say, "Oh, you ought to run for office." So
Yes, I have a lot of people told me that I missed my calling.
yeah,
That I probably should run for office, or I should have been a lawyer or something.
Yeah.
I
What-
said, "No," because they say I like to help people.
right. I was gonna say, what do you think it is with your personality that would be beneficial to be mayor?
Well, to be mayor, you got to be accountable. Accountability is big with me.
Yeah.
And that have to be big not only with the mayor, all department heads, with the council, and that's something I will push accountability.
Yeah,
And fairness. That's a big thing.
yeah,
We know you got to be fair with not just with 2 or 3 districts. You got to be fair in all 5 districts.
right.
And I ride around right now in all 5 districts. Even when it was raining and it rained hard, I went through all 5 districts. Out of all 5 districts, we had 2, maybe 3, part of the third one was underwater.
Right.
And it was underwater because of our ditches.
Yeah.
And I know working with Park and Rec, I know we got beavers. I know up at Fowler Field.
You've been having to deal with them before, haven't you?
Cleaning that creek out
Yeah.
running because of beavers.
Yeah.
And keeping that running. But we got to keep our ditches clean.
Yeah.
And last year, one person was crying about she was flooding from the park, and I talked to David O'Meara about it, and, he called District 5 council member, and I got with him, me and him rode around. Dave was supposed to ride.
Right.
He had something else to come up. And it's bad.
Yeah.
If we can't, just like I was telling the District 5 representative, their shop is in District 5.
Right.
They coming in District 5 at least 30 minutes ahead of time, because I know, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
Go in 30 minutes ahead of time, gas up, get everything cleaned up.
Right.
I said, well, why not come in an hour ahead of time? On the way in, you can be cutting.
Right.
Whatever district you coming from, you got to come through District 5.
Right.
Cut,
Cut it. Yeah.
on your way in.
Yeah.
But we got to keep these our ditches and our creeks clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like they did downtown, because right there at the Civic Center,
Oh yeah, it used to
That used
flood
to
all the
flood.
time.
I don't know what they did, but it don't flood there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it do still flood on that back street,
Right. Yeah.
and that's District 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It floods there, so that's coming off the street from Walker High School, old Walker High School.
Right. Yeah. On that side. Yeah.
It floods there, and they put out.
And a lot of people don't realize even what district they live in, and that's something people need to look up and know, especially before the election coming up.
Right.
They need to know what district they're in.
Well,
And,
you can go to Alabama High School, not Alabama, Jasper City site, and
Right, and they've got a map where it shows.
Yeah,
Um,
enlarge it to, you can go down to City Hall, they'll give you a map.
And then the election, where will it be that day? The polling.
The election this year, all 5 wards will be down at the Civic Center.
That's what I thought, that we've made it where it's all 5, so it's
Yeah, all 5.
easy for people to know where to go.
Right. You just once you get in, you just got to find out where your district at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What part of the Civic Center you will be voting.
Right. Well, Greg, just anything else you want to add before we go today?
No, that's it. And I hit some of my top things that I want to work on. And I do believe in keeping what we got. I know it's working,
Right.
you know, but we got to be fair to everybody.
Right. Well, Greg, I appreciate you coming by, and then good luck leading up to the election, and hopefully we'll be talking again pretty soon then.
Okay, all right, thanks, James.
All right. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us really throughout the week this week. We've had a great week on Live at 9. Coming up next week, we've got several guests already scheduled. And then later today, we've got Woody Wilson coming in at 10 o'clock, where he'll have the classroom will be open with the professor of rock and roll. And Greg, Woody told me y'all are neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see him walking down the street all the time.
Yeah, that's what he said when
21st Street.
when I told him you were coming in. He said, that's my neighbor.
Yeah, 21st Street, baby.
Well, all right. Well, hey, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on Live at 9 with James Phillips.